Training number 2 for day 3. We have Sonos back with us to go over home theater products. Got some new products to share with you as well. I think you guys will find pretty exciting. We're going to do a raffle as well, like we've been doing. We're going to be raffling off Era 100. So go ahead and ask your questions, and we'll pick one, a lucky winner for the Era 100. We're going to start a poll as well real quick. If you guys would do us a favor and just answer those questions. Make sure you check out the Sonos booth in the main hall. They are one of our platinum sponsors. So you get 10 points for visiting their booth and staying in there for a lot of period of time. And of course, like I've been saying, this is going to be recorded, where you earn an additional 20 points for watching it after the fact. And you guys just being here, you get 50 points for viewing this live. So excited to have Matthew back here. Roger and our boy Sean is going to be helping out with our Q&A. So go ahead and ask those questions, whichever ones you have. And take it away, Matthew. Thank you, buddy.
All right, right on. What's up, everybody? Welcome, welcome, welcome. As always, excited to be here with you this morning. Quick intro for those of actually, I probably haven't met most of you. My name is Matt Newman. My friends call me Newman. I'm a senior global trainer here at Sonos, and many of you probably know Roger. I'm sure I've bumped into him at some point or another. Roger's with us here. He'll be in the Q&A answering questions. So if you have any questions throughout the course of our time together while I'm presenting, feel free to throw them in the Q&A, and Roger and team will get all of those questions answered. We'll leave a little bit of time if we have it at the end to answer questions live if it's something we should have a conversation about. Today, it's all about home theater with Sonos. We'll be discussing, the flexible options that home theater has, or that Sonos has for home theater. Why should you sell Sonos home theater? When we'll be talking about, how to make selling home theater easy for your customers. So hopefully that's what you take away from our presentation here today. But before we jump into all of that, let's just really quickly cover what's new from Sonos. Look, many of you have noted and will, I'm sure, be in the chat talking about the app experience since we've launched the update on the app. And here's the thing, you all, we know and we get it. And it is our number one priority, or it has been our number one priority, to get our app back where it should be. We can look back and say, yeah, we probably would have done things a little bit differently, but we are where we are. And from our internal data, it's actually shown us that we are pretty much at par with when it comes to functionality and features of the previous Sonos app. And with a recent update coming here soon, we will actually be above the previous version of the app as far as reliability. So that, is anything from setup to just, usage features. We expect the app to be right here, there and ready to go. So, you might still run into a bug here and there, but for the most part, we really should see conversations around the app and functionality start to dwindle down. So it's been, like I said, our number one priority, and we have been working incredibly hard to make sure that it's what you all expect from Sonos. We've also recently announced a Works with Sonos a search integration for our control partners. We've been asked this for honestly since we started really Works with Sonos, which was years ago. For a search integration within the control partners for Sonos. So our control partners, the API is open. They're implementing it as we speak. Many of them have implemented it already. So if you're interested in one specifically, I would recommend that you reach out to that control partner to see when they will have this search functionality live within their control systems. Also, we have the Era 100 Pro. If you hung out with us on Tuesday, you had a deep dive training into the Era 100 Pro. Those of you who haven't, just wanted to make sure that, or that weren't, wanted to make sure that it's going to be available early next year. It's our PoE speaker. It's basically the Era 100, but power over Ethernet, optimized for PoE Plus, and it sounds really good. So we have ongoing trainings and education on Era 100 Pro. From us, the training team. Okay, let's jump into our content. So why why should we or why should you recommend Sonos home theater products, or like what makes Sonos home theater products cool? Well, simply put, we enable you to install incredible wireless home theater sound for your customers. Sonos supports many audio codecs, including Dolby Atmos, which immerses your customer in a sphere of sound. So we are going to deliver really, really good sound wirelessly. And best of all, it's easy to control for your clients. And it's easy for you to set up. So if your clients are controlling, are easily able to use the product that you're selling them, they're going to use it more. And if they're using it more, that means they are going to contact you to buy more of it. And that's not just an opportunity for you to talk about Sonos. That's an opportunity for you to have those continual touch points with your customers for the other services that you offer. So home theater, we make, incredible home theater sound very, very simple. Now, another huge reason people love Sonos home theater products is that you can send home theater sound to any room by grouping the other Sonos speakers. And if you're not already, I would encourage you to use this as a selling point. I mean, have you ever been watching a movie or watching a game, and you wanted to get up to grab a snack, or you wanted to get up and grab a drink, but you didn't want to pause whatever it is you're watching to get up and you flip a couple burgers on the grill, or grab a soda out of the refrigerator? Well, with the Sonos, your customer can just group the Sonos speaker in the kitchen or in the bathroom or wherever it is that they're going, and they can still hear everything that's going on, so you don't have to stop the action. This is really nice to use even in like an open floor plan. We group our speaker in the kitchen with our speaker in the living room a lot, because if we're in the kitchen cooking or cleaning or whatever, my wife and I, we want to hear the TV audio, but we don't necessarily want to blast the TV audio, so we can have more distributed TV audio across that open floor plan space. So this is another reason people love our products, and we'd encourage you to use this as a selling point. You're not just going to get incredible sound in the theater, but you're going to be able to move that sound around your home wherever you are. The beauty of Sonos products as well is that, with over 150 different streaming services that are compatible within the Sonos app, your client can listen to whatever they want to listen to when they're not watching TV. So, music, podcast, audiobooks, whatever they want to listen to, they can listen to it through Sonos. And, with features like AirPlay 2, that makes it even easier to listen to what they want to listen to. I use AirPlay 2 all the time for podcasts, for example. Now, a couple of features that all of our home theater products share. One is speech enhancement. Speech enhancement mode is something, actually, again, a lot of installers use as a selling tool, and I would encourage you to do the same, or a selling point. Is speech enhancement turns up just the dialogue. You've probably had a customer tell you before, like, I just want to hear my TV better. I don't necessarily want the music and the cinematography. I don't necessarily want the explosions. I don't necessarily want all the background noises louder. I just want to hear the dialogue better. Well, speech enhancement does just that. It turns up the frequencies that are used for dialogue, and only those frequencies. So you can hear conversations better without having to turn up the rest of the TV's audio. You can find this feature in the Now Playing screen in the Sonos app, and it looks just like a little speech bubble on the Now Playing screen. Another feature all of our home theater products share is our night sound mode. And I personally, my wife and I have a 2-year-old and we have a 4-month-old. We use this feature all the time. Night sound mode tempers the frequency response, so no highs go too high and no lows go too low. What that means is you still hear most of the frequencies that are being played, so you don't necessarily lack in audio experience as much as you would turning the TV all the way down. But it tempers those frequency response, so you don't get any jolts of sound waking up, your wife who has the baby sleeping on her. You don't wake up the kids, you don't wake up the neighbors, that sort of thing, right? So if anybody else in the home, whoever it is, you don't have to worry about bothering them, which is really, really nice. So speech enhance mode, or night sound mode is available. It looks like just a little sliver of a moon. That's available on all of our Sonos home theater products. And it, again, tempers the frequency response. This is great for listening when you want it to be quiet, but you still hear a lot of those sounds. Better than turning down the TV almost all the way, so you can so you don't wake up the people in your home. So again, a feature that all of our home theater products share. Another feature that all of our home theater products share is true play tuning. Not so fun fact is that only about half of Sonos speakers that are sold in the custom install channel are true play tuned. And we would encourage you to run true play tuning on every Sonos speaker that you can run it on. True play tuning is our proprietary tuning technology that tunes your Sonos speaker to the environment of the room that it's in. So you don't just get incredible sound from a Sonos speaker, you get incredible sound that's custom tuned to the specific environment of that space. It requires an iOS device, and that iOS device, some of you who have done it before, realize you walk around for about a minute waving your phone around. That iOS device takes about 100 spatial and spectral measurements and tunes that speaker using those measurements. So true play tuning a speaker, all of our home theater products, amp only when plugged to Sonos by Sonance. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But our soundbars support true play tuning. So Sonos as a home theater solution means the ultimate home entertainment system for your client that's easy to use and it's easy to control. But as an installer, it means an easy install. Our soundbars and surround sound speakers are single person installable. And best of all, the system is flexible. You can mount the soundbar or not. You can mount the surround sounds or put them on uniquely designed speaker stands that are designed for those speakers. You can put them on an end table. Really those surrounds can be placed wherever the client wants them placed. And then, with sub can go underneath a piece of furniture. It could go underneath the sound bar. It could, be outright in the open for everyone to see if that's what the client wants. It totally just matters. We are flexible. You can start with just the soundbar and the sub, or just the soundbar and surrounds and add the sub later. We make it easy for you to custom tailor the home theater experience that your client wants. And what this means for you for easy install is you're going to get to more jobs faster. And that's going to mean more word of mouth from your customers talking to their friends saying, hey, so-and-so set me up. It sounds amazing. It's easy to use. They can set you up too. So ultimately, an easy install is a game changer. And, we think that for you as an installer, that really brings to life these audio experiences for your customer and gets you to the next customer quick. Okay, so now that we've talked about like sort of the why you should sell home theater products, at least from my biased Sonos opinion, let's talk about the actual physical products that we have available to your customers for home theater. Those home theater products are Sonos Arc Ultra, which, by the way, currently it's Sonos Arc. Arc Ultra will be available on October 29th. I put it in here and I figured, look, Arc Ultra is the new standard, so I might as well just talk about Arc Ultra. But just note that technically you cannot install Arc Ultra until October 29th. So Arc Ultra, Sonos Beam, Sonos Ray, and Sonos Amp. Those are your home theater products that you can use plugged into the TV. Now, we got to start with Arc Ultra, the soundbar reinvented. Arc Ultra brings your clients' entertainment to life like no other soundbar. They'll experience unprecedentedly clear, deep, and balanced sound that precisely surrounds them from every direction, all with this unbelievably slick, sleek, slim design. And that's possible because of our breakthrough sound motion technology. Now, at a glance, Arc Ultra, this is our flagship soundbar. It features a few things. One, our sound motion technology, which we'll talk about here in a second. It supports Dolby Atmos and, of course, other popular audio codecs. It has voice assistance built in, so you can use Amazon or Sonos voice control to control this speaker. It works, of course, on Wi-Fi, but it's also our first soundbar to have Bluetooth built into it. You can true play tune it, and then it's our first soundbar to offer 3 different levels of speech enhancement. So that speech enhancement feature I was just talking about, on all our other soundbars, it's just a binary on or off. But with Sonos Arc Ultra, you'll be able to choose the level 1, level 2, or level 3 speech enhancement, or I should say the end user can. Physical buttons and AirPlay 2 offer control the way your client wants. And of course, it learns the remote they're already using via CEC so that they can just use the remote that came with the TV or whatever, maybe universal remote or custom remote that you have set up for them. Now, Arc Ultra's sound experience goes far beyond immersion. It features an all-new acoustic architecture powered by 14 Sonos engineered transducers. What does that mean for your client? With advanced technologies like sound motion, Arc Ultra fills every corner of the room with accurate sound and deep bass, and it puts sound precisely where it needs to be. Those 14 speakers are going to put your client in the middle of the action. Now, I need to touch on sound motion technology because this is one of the biggest breakthroughs in audio technology in the last century. And I'm not using superlatives when I say that. This is huge. The sound motion driver is a subwoofer that's built into the soundbar. Now, typically, a bass driver needs space to produce pressure, right? The more space, the bigger the bass. And, those drivers push back and forth, and it requires that range of motion to be able to do so. Sound motion reimagines that entirely. Starting with the voice coil, we moved from a central driven coil to 4 distributed motors, and you can see those motors on the 4 corners here of the driver. Now, each one is powered by its own magnet, allowing for a distributed lightweight motor configuration. To transfer the force of the coils we recreated, we had to connect them with topology optimized ribs, creating 2 packs of coils, and that's the cross, the cross or the X that you see there in the driver. Dual force canceling membranes and 4 distributed motors unleash low frequency with virtually no mechanical vibration. The cone and the surround push the air in multiple directions. So that's that pushing that you see. That's that pushing that you see going on here. Those drivers are pushing towards each other. And that's what's creating the pressure, which is what's creating the bass. To sum it up, what this means is that an incredible amount of bass is produced, but in a slim design, much smaller than a traditional subwoofer driver configuration. So you get from Arc Ultra twice the bass at 50 hertz compared to the Sonos Arc. And Arc Ultra will produce sounds down to 40 hertz, which is pretty impressive. Our subwoofer produces bass response down to 25 hertz. So this is a very, very, very efficient subwoofer. And that's the beauty of Arc Ultra. We're able, because we're able to add this type of driver to the soundbar, this type of subwoofer to the soundbar, we're able to add bass to the soundbar itself, but we've made Arc Ultra slimmer and sleeker than the Sonos Arc, which is insane to think about. Not only does Arc Ultra feature sound motion, it delivers Atmos like never before from a Sonos product. With the additional transducers and more powerful processor, Arc Ultra renders a 9.1.2 Atmos signal just from the soundbar alone. That's a huge improvement from Sonos Arc's 5.0.2. So we go from 5.0.2 from Arc to 9.1.2 from the Arc Ultra by itself. So this makes our most immersive, Dolby Atmos soundbar ever. This soundbar is for the customer who wants to feel like they're at the movie theater. So if they tell you they want an epic home theater experience, but they don't necessarily want to cut holes, see big equipment, or run wires, the Sonos Arc really should be the first soundbar that comes to mind. It's our top of the line soundbar that you can get from Sonos. With its unique curved shape and low profile design, the grille now wraps around most of the soundbar, which allows acoustics to push through even more of the soundbar, especially on the top. And, to be honest, it looks incredible on the wall or on a piece of furniture. The sleek design really fits any space regardless of the decor. It just blends right in. So that is the Arc Ultra. Happy to answer more questions about Arc Ultra, but that's what you need to know to be efficient at selling Sonos Arc Ultra. The next soundbar in our home theater lineup is Sonos Beam. This soundbar is the perfect compromise for somebody who's not necessarily keen on a large footprint in front of their TV or underneath their TV, but they still want incredible sound from their home theater. The Beam is Atmos compatible, so it fills a living room really nicely, even for its compact size. So at a glance, the Sonos Beam supports Dolby Atmos by mixing the surround arrays into the rear surround arrays. So it sounds much more atmospheric than a soundbar its size that you would typically expect it to sound. Beam supports voice assistants like Amazon, Google Assistant, and Sonos voice control. It supports AirPlay 2 and uses CEC for easy remote control setup. 5 drivers powered by 5 Class D digital amps. Beam packs a punch for its size. That's the main point here. 4 full-range woofers ensure rich mid-range vocals and solid bass, and a tweeter ensures crisp high frequencies that also help with some of that dialogue and keeping that dialogue really clear. So Beam can be mounted on the wall if that's what the install calls for, no problem. As you saw in my other images, it can also be placed in front of the TV or on the TV stand. This soundbar is a flexible option for clients who want a soundbar that delivers really spacious sound, but like the idea of having a compact soundbar by their TV. It's perfect for those secondary TVs that maybe a client uses a lot, but they don't necessarily need the biggest sound experience that they can get. For example, at my old house before my wife and I moved into our current home, we had the Sonos Arc on our home theater system, but then we had the Sonos Beam on our TV in the living room. And the TV in the living room is that's where we watch we're really into cooking shows. We're big Gordon Ramsay fans. We just kind of like the casual TV shows that we watch that we're like, yeah, we want it to sound good, but we're not necessarily looking to have our faces melted by our home theater audio. That's where the Beam really shines. It sounds spacious. It sounds amazing. And by the way, if your customer does want this as their primary home theater experience, it's not a bad option. I mean, in your installs, you probably don't sell this as the primary home theater system very often. But if a customer just is like, hey, I don't have it in my budget to buy the Sonos Arc, but I still want great sound, Beam really shines in that place as well. It delivers enough sound to be on the primary TV, but really we see this on TVs that are usually a little bit smaller, or that customers like a secondary TV, maybe a bedroom where they watch TV a lot in their bedroom, that sort of thing. And then our final soundbar offering is Sonos Ray. This is an ultra compact soundbar for somebody who wants better sound from their TV. All of the acoustic elements are pointed forward, making it a great option, for somebody who wants to tuck it into, let's say, like a nook in the TV on the TV stand. Maybe they want to just have it in a smaller space. This soundbar is great for the bedroom. This soundbar is great for the TV over the bar. I have a bar area in my basement. I have a Sonos Ray underneath that TV. I have the game on sometimes, while I'm plugging away at work. But it's not a TV where I'm looking to have, a ton of sound from that soundbar. But this does pack a surprising amount of sound for the size that it is. Again, great for the bedroom, great for the kids' playrooms, great for a TV over the bar, something like that, where you don't want a big sound bar under that TV. But look, just another tool in your tool belt. These are the 3 sound bars we have. The installer channel, typically you all are selling Sonos Arc Ultra, maybe some Sonos Beams here and there, but just know that the Sonos Ray is there whenever you need it. So taking a look at the different soundbar offerings that we have from Sonos and kind of helping decide, what soundbar and when, sort of a general rule of thumb. Again, one of the beauties of Sonos, it's like electronic Lego. You can really build the system that your customer wants, and you can build it as fast or as slow as they want. So, like I said, take these as a rule of thumb. So Arc Ultra is, typically for larger TVs over 55 inches and customers who want maximum home theater sound with Dolby Atmos. Beam is typically for smaller TVs, 55 inches and under, and for a customer who wants Dolby Atmos and spacious sound, but they prioritize a compact soundbar. And then Sonos Ray is a great option for customers who want to hear their TV audio better, working with a tighter budget, or those tertiary TVs where they're just not used a ton and they don't necessarily need to have their faces melted by home theater audio. These, again, general rule of thumb, and Sonos Ray is also great for younger clients as well that maybe don't have as much buying power. I think of Sonos Ray in the install channel kind of like what a lot of car companies are doing. I'm thinking of Mercedes, I'm thinking of BMW, where they have started in the last 8 to 10 years bringing less expensive, smaller versions of their cars to get younger people into their products. And then from there, when they have more buying power, if you start off with a 1 Series BMW or a 2 Series BMW, your next car is probably going to be a 3 Series or a 5 Series, or maybe it's going to be an X3 or an X5 when you have a family. That's kind of another maybe thing for you to consider using the Sonos Ray. Using it to sell to some of your younger clients who probably don't have, or potential clients who don't have as much buying power, but in 10, 15 years, they're going to, be working with you throughout that time to install more Sonos as they have more buying power. All right, that's enough about Sonos Ray. I'm talking about it long enough. Let's next talk about the Sonos Amp and using the Sonos Amp with the television. This is another popular solution for the custom install channel. So Amp is a really versatile product that turns passive speakers into Sonos streaming speakers. Many installers think of it as a great way to get Sonos sound to a pair of tower speakers, maybe, or powering patio speakers. Those are great uses, but Amp can be used in multiple ways as part of a home theater system. The TV plugs into Amp via ARC, and when it's set up with the TV, Amp acts as the home theater primary. We'll talk about here in a little bit. But think of it like a Sonos soundbar at that point. This is going to deliver the sound from the TV to the speakers that you have it plugged into. Perfect for in-wall speakers on either side of a frame TV, for example. I've seen a lot of installers doing that lately. But in-ceiling speakers, in-wall speakers. Maybe your customer has a TV and they have some tower speakers, or really nice bookshelf speakers. You can use Amp to turn those tower speakers or bookshelf speakers into the front channels of their home theater system. Now, keep in mind, the Amp is a 2-channel amplifier. However, we do mix the center channel into the system. We create a phantom center channel, so you still get very respectable dialogue performance. You actually still get the speech enhance functionality when you're using Amp as the front speakers of a home theater system. In my living room, I'm actually using an Amp powering in-wall speakers that are delivering the TV sound in my living room, and my Arc Ultra with my surrounds and everything is in my basement, and that's my theater system. Amp supports up to Dolby Digital 5.1 audio codecs, and it's 125 watts per channel at 8 ohms with a maximum of 250 watts per channel at 4 ohms. So you can use Amp in home theater in a few different ways. One is powering just the front speakers, like we have shown in this image here. The Amp can live on a TV stand. I have mine in a little mount made by, I think, Flexon, that is on an outlet behind the couch. So you could do something like that if you wanted for your customer. You could power the front speakers with 1 amp and power the rear speakers with a 2nd amp. So you create like a 4.1 or a 4.0 if there's no subwoofer. And those amps can talk wirelessly if that's desired. Which I'll probably be doing in my living room at some point. I have in-walls in the fronts. I'll probably at some point add an amp for surrounds to power some in-ceiling speakers, and they'll just communicate wirelessly. So you could do that. You can also use Amp in conjunction with surrounds. So if you're installing a Sonos Arc Ultra or a Beam or a Ray, and you want to use the Amp as surround sound speakers to power, let's say, some in-ceiling surround sound speakers, you can do that as well. So Amp can be used to power fronts. It could be used to power the fronts and the rears. It could be used to power just the rear speakers if that's what the install calls for. The Amp, of course, is also rack mountable. So I should say more rack stackable, if you will. But it takes up 1.5 RU, and it can be placed side by side on a shelf. Sorry, no rabbit ears. Keep in mind, though, that if you're using Amp in a home theater bond, it's always going to bond over 5 gigahertz. By the way, this is true of all of our home theater products. They bond together over 5 gigahertz. So you won't want it too far, 30 feet or about 9 meters to be exact, away from any of the other players on the system, because we know 5 gigahertz only has a theoretical maximum of about 30 feet. We know that it doesn't like walls, and it really doesn't like anything that could be blocking that distance. So keep that in mind. Oh, at Sonos, we do have some architectural speakers as well. Now, there are a couple benefits of these architectural speakers. I think there's a common misconception that we've just like you taken Sonance speakers and remarketed them, and that really is not true at all. The Sonos the Sonos architectural speakers, the benefit of you selling these with the Sonos amp, the amp sets a custom DSP for the speakers. So the amp knows which speakers it's powering when you go into the app and press detect Sonos architectural, and it sets the DSP for it. It really brings the speaker to life. I remember my first time A/B testing before it knew it was powering the in ceiling model, and after it knew it was powering the in ceiling model. I remember the chills I got like listening to the difference. It's that good. The way I like to think about this, I think an easy way to explain what this really means is like this. When you first meet somebody, you're probably a little bit reserved with them, even if you're a friendly person. I consider myself a fairly outgoing guy, but even if I'm friendly with somebody, I don't know my boundaries with that person. I don't know what their sense of humor. I don't know I don't know much about them, so I'm gonna kind of just be a little bit reserved in some ways. But when I'm with my best friend that I've been best friends with, since high school, we're laughing, we're joking, we're goofing off, we're doing dumb things, right? Like that is kind of the difference between amp powering Sonos by Sonance speakers and any other architectural speakers, any other third-party speakers. When the amp is powering any other third-party speakers, it's going to temper itself. It's going to power limit itself, and that's so that it doesn't overdrive itself and burn itself out. So it's always going to add a layer of protection when it's playing sound. However, when it's powered by the Sonos by Sonance architectural speakers, it knows what it's powering, and it sets that DSP, which enables it to deliver maximum power that the speaker needs at all, when whatever that power consumption need is. So it really opens up the speaker. The other benefit of the Sonos by Sonance architectural speakers, if you're installing the in-wall or in-ceiling models, you can true play tune those speakers. Again, because the amp knows it's powering those speakers, you can true play tune those speakers to the specific environment of the space. Okay, so those are all of our home theater options when it comes to home theater, sort of primary, what's plugged into the TV. Next, let's talk about the subwoofer options. This is a crowd pleaser of a conversation because a lot of clients, they like bass with their home theater systems. So let's talk about Sub. The newest generation of Sub is Sub 4. Keep in mind that just like Arc Ultra, this will technically not be available until October 29th. However, the Arc and the Sub Gen 3 are kind of phasing out, so I figured why even really spend a lot of time on them. So Sub 4 is just a beast of a subwoofer, and it pushes soul-shaking bass for a home theater system. This is the #1 selling subwoofer by model number, and rightfully so. It hits hard, it looks good, and it's easy to set up. Sub unlocks the full power of a Sonos home theater system in 2 different ways. The first way is what we all typically think of. It adds bass, right? It's going to add that soul-shaking bass. But the second way is not necessarily something that is talked about as much, that I think you all should know, and I would consider using this as a selling point to your clients if they're not necessarily looking for just a ton of bass. When you add a sub to a home theater system, that sub is now taking all of those low frequency responsibilities from the soundbar. So those mid-range drivers that are typically trying to help make some of that low end frequency, the soundbar is now sending all of that to the subwoofer, freeing up those mid-range drivers to produce the sound that they were specifically designed for. What that means is overall, the soundbar is going to sound richer and fuller, and it's going to sound more detailed and accurate. So Sub really gives clients the most bang for their buck with a Sonos soundbar. So as I said, I recommend using that as a selling point to customers who maybe they're not concerned about a swift uppercut of bass to the face, but they want the best sound they could possibly get from their Sonos soundbar. Now in the living space, Sub looks great. It's got an elegant shape. It's got this matte finish, and it's designed to look great in the home and, you know, match your client's Sonos speakers. It really is an iconic design. But Sub will bring the most out of Arc Ultra. Sub bonds, you see this a lot with Arc Ultra. You see this a lot with Sonos Beam. You see this with Amp and architectural solutions. This will give you this will enable a wireless sub for those architectural speakers, for example. But this is just an incredible subwoofer that will help the home theater hit frequencies down to 25 hertz. And what's great, there's no buzz or cabinet rattle. We built Sub to deliver all of the bass without those side effects. So customers concerned about rattling. I mean, we've all been at a stoplight where somebody's like, they've got big subwoofers in their car and their entire car is shaking, and you're just like, what's the point? Like, how do you even look past that? Hey, Sub, none of the rattle. Okay, so place the Sub where you want it. It can fit under a piece of furniture. It's designed and it's ported to where that bass pressure is going to be pushed out either direction. But if one of the directions is stopped by the floor, it's just going to push all of that out in one direction. So you can tuck it under furniture if that's what your client wants. You can put it underneath the soundbar if that's what your client wants. You can set it, vertically. You could set it like, horizontally if you're looking at it, or I can't even think of what I'm trying to say. Deep if you're looking at it. So you just I don't even know if that makes sense, but you could just turn the sub whichever direction your client wants is what I'm trying to say. So it's a very versatile subwoofer that you can place virtually anywhere. And I mean, what's better than one sub? Two subs. You can run dual subs on a Sonos home theater system using our subwoofers. So great for larger spaces, great for filling a room with more bass. Maybe your client just wants to feel like they got punched every time the bass hits. Sell that customer dual subs. Now, I should note here that Sub, since this is the latest iteration of Sub 4, this is relevant since we're in this transition period. Sub can be bonded in a dual sub configuration with itself, Sub 4, the newest version, or Sub Gen 3. Sub Gen 3, if you've sold a sub since 2020, it's a Sub Gen 3. So if your customer wants to upgrade to a dual sub configuration and you sold them a sub a year or two ago, you can sell them a Sub 4 and it'll support dual subs. But yeah, add dual subs to Arc Ultra, add dual subs to Beam Gen 2, have fun with it. Our other sub is Sub Mini. This is most common with Beam, with Ray, and with Sonos Amp. Sub Mini allows for more depth and immersion across all types of content, and it's perfect for adding bass to small or medium-sized spaces where you listen at lower or moderate volume levels. I have a Sub Mini on my amp in my living room, which, as we've established, it's where we watch our secondary television, not secondary television, but it's where we watch our secondary television. It's where we watch, our cooking shows, or, a show that's like, yeah, we're not taking this all that seriously. But it's, we still want good sound, right? So, that's really where Sub Mini shines. Sub Mini leverages award-winning that force-canceling driver technology from the standard Sub, but packages it in a more compact design. Yet it's still a thrilling form factor. It's got this cylindrical design that hits down to 25 hertz, just like our big Sub. It just won't do it at as high of volumes. Which, let's be honest, how many of your customers are, cranking up their Sonos to 80% volume anyways? Not a lot of them. So Sub Mini still adds respectable bass, especially in a small or medium-sized room. It's got this cylindrical design, so it looks at home in a home. It's 9 inches in diameter and 12 inches high, so it fits in more compact, tight spaces. Again, perfect for smaller or medium-sized rooms. So in summary, Sub is recommended with Arc, Ultra, Beam, or Amp, where customers have a big space to fill or want deep, impactful bass. Sub Mini is for those medium to smaller rooms, usually on Beam or Ray, maybe an Amp, where you want respectable bass but prefer the smaller form factor. Okay, and to round out the conversation on Sonos home theater surrounds, we're going to talk about the surrounds. What products can you use and when should you use them for surrounds? Now, well, our all-in-one speakers are very popular options in the install channel. So is the Sonos Amp. The Era 100 reimagines the original Sonos one, if you will, or Play one for any of you who have been around for a while. So it's the difference is that it's souped up with more sound, and it's a great option for surround sounds. If a customer wants to work, within a certain budget, they don't necessarily want big sound coming from the surrounds. Era 100 is great for that. I kind of think of Era 100 like the beam of surround sounds. It's still going to help replicate Dolby Atmos sounds, but it doesn't have a top firing driver. So it's not actually shooting sound upwards. It's just mixing those top firing sounds in with into the arrays that it's already creating, the sounds that it's making. So it's a great compact speaker that you can use for surrounds with Sonos Arc Ultra. You can use it for Beam Gen 2. You see a lot of Era 100s with beams for home theater surrounds. But of course, like I said, you can use it with Arc Ultra as well. What's nice is with with Era 100, you can mount it to the wall, you can place it on a TV stand, you can place it on a table behind the sofa. It fits in so many different places where if you need to put a speaker for surrounds in a compact space, Era 100 really shines for that customer. And you can also use Era 100 Pro as rears as well. Era 100 Pro is powered by PoE Plus, and it's a great option when installing surrounds where there are no AC mains and you don't want to get a contractor involved for whatever reason that might be, whether it's waiting for them or having to pass money on to them and it just doesn't fit in your client's budget. This is a great solution to use for home theater surrounds if there are no outlets nearby. Just keep in mind that to use these wirelessly, you need to use an injector. That injector will need to be plugged in somewhere. But you can plug in that injector in a power in a power strip that's in the rack, let's say, and then run Ethernet cable from the switch in that rack, from the injector that it's plugged into all the way to the Era 100 Pro speaker. If you run Era 100 Pro and it's not connected back to a switch, that keeps its Wi-Fi card on. So it can bond wirelessly with a home theater product like Sonos Arc Ultra, for example. As soon as it sees data, it cuts off its Wi-Fi card. So do not plug into data if you want it to work wirelessly. Now, keep in mind, if you do want it to work wired, so if you want data running to it, you also need to wire the home theater primary, which would be an Arc or a Beam, whatever's plugged into the TV. And then, of course, there's Era 300 for the ultimate home theater listening experience. Use the Era 300 for surround sound speakers when your client wants that next generation of Sonos sound, or I should say of home theater sound in general, because the Era 300 is designed for immersive listening. It supports spatial audio. So when you pair it with Arc Ultra or Beam Gen 2, it is going to deliver those rear Atmos channels, those rear Atmos arrays. So for Arc Ultra, that's 9.1.4. Remember, Arc Ultra by itself is 9.1.2. Add Era 300 as surrounds, it adds those additional height arrays for the home theater system. And then what's nice is the Arc Ultra takes the frequencies that it's trying to send as surrounds and it sends those to the Era 300s as well, which frees up its drivers to create more accurate sounds on the front and the side arrays. Adding surrounds does sort of the same thing that I was talking about with adding bass earlier. Remember how I mentioned adding a subwoofer frees up the drivers to make more of the sounds they're supposed to make? Well, when you add surrounds to a Sonos home theater system, now those drivers up front don't need to make as many of those surround sound or those rear surround sounds. It frees those drivers up to make more of those side firing sounds and those front firing sounds that it wants to make, which again just makes it even more detailed and more accurate. So if you have a customer that's like, I don't know if I need surrounds, look, if they don't want surrounds, that's fine. Our products still sound great, but adding surrounds just brings more depth and more detail to their home theater system. Now you can use Sonos 5s as well for home theater surrounds. These are good if customer just has a really big space to fill, and you're trying to push a lot of volume through for those surround sound speakers. 6 speakers, 6 Class D digital amplifiers means just a lot of sound from surround sounds. I personally think it's overkill for surround sounds, but in the install channel especially, some of these customers just are just throwing money at you. Sonos 5 might not be a bad option. It really is a good option though. Like I said, if it's in a really big space, open floor plan, vaulted ceilings, you might want to consider a Sonos 5 in that space. All right, and another way to meet the needs of your customer and maximize profit of your Sonos home theater job is to sell mounts and stands that we make for our products. We have, like I said, custom mounts, custom stands that you can use, and they are sold individually or in a pair as well. Some surround sound combinations. I won't spend a lot of time on this slide, but just think Arc Ultra compare with Amp, Era 100, 100 Pro, Era 300, 5, right? The thing to point out here is Ray and Amp, because they don't support Dolby Atmos, you cannot use Era 300 with those speakers. All right, I'm going to move kind of swiftly through this for the sake of time. Let's build a home theater system for your customers. Let's make it super simple for them. Let's start off by choosing our fronts. Choose a Sonos Ray for those tertiary TVs. Hey, I just want better sound, not necessarily looking for, a big sound bar. Great. Sell them a Sonos Beam if they want spacious sound, but prefer a compact design. Awesome. Sell them Sonos Amp as fronts if they're looking for an architectural solution. Use Arc Ultra for those customers who want a Dolby Atmos experience. They want to feel like they're at the movie theaters, but they don't want to cut holes and they don't want a receiver and, the remote and things that come along with it. Awesome. Next, decide what kind of bass experience they're looking for. Maybe they don't want any bass. Maybe they want, it's a medium-sized room and they just want a little bit of bass. They just want to add a little bit of low end to the experience. Cool. Sell them a sub mini. Sell them a single sub if they want that big, deep, impactful bass. If they really want to take it to the next level, sell them dual subs. And then finally, surrounds. What are they looking for from surrounds? Do they just want some smaller compact surround sounds? Era 300. They looking for, is it a bigger space, open floor plan, vaulted ceilings? Maybe Sonos 5s. If they want that ultimate Dolby Atmos home theater experience, Era 300s bonded with an Arc Ultra or a Sonos Beam. And if they're looking for an architectural surround sound solution, use an Amp powering some in-ceiling speakers. Now, regardless of what you're selling, you are going to need to know this information with the home theater system. You need to know what a home theater primary is from Sonos. That's the Sonos product that's plugged into the TV. The reason that's called a home theater primary is because that's what's controlling all the crossover, and that's actually acting as a local access point for the network for just those home theater bonded players. Then you have secondary players. Those players are all receiving their signal from the home theater primary, their audio signal and their networking signal. So that's very important to know. If you have more questions about this, we actually provide in-depth networking training when you're setting up a home theater system. So if you've ever asked yourself, how does Sonos recommend I set up networking? How do I network a home theater system? Join us for our networking training that we offer via webinar, and you can get that information from us by way of 21st Century. Okay, finally, some home theater options. This is going to wrap up our conversation. Many of you know that we launched our headphones a while back. They have a feature called Sound Swap. I use this feature a lot down in my basement during the workday. So for customers looking for a private home theater listening experience, Sound Swap swaps the sound from the Sonos soundbar into the Sonos Ace headphones. When doing this, customers can enjoy a 7.0.2 Atmos experience from their own private theater. To activate Sound Swap, simply set it up in the app, and then when watching TV, you hold the little content key that's a little movable key that's on the back of the right earphones. Hold that for a second, and it takes the sound from the soundbar to the headphones. Enable dynamic head tracking so the head adapts and the sound adapts and follows their head wherever they turn their head. Finally, Sonos Port. Look, Sonos Port is not always the best option for home theater. We get it. Sometimes your customer wants an experience where they get the receiver and they have Atmos channels in the ceilings, or they want like a just a bigger home theater experience, more bigger, more powerful speakers. That's totally fine. Amp turns that system into a Sonos streaming system. Port connects to the receiver via digital coax or analog out. It has a 12-volt trigger, so it'll turn on the receiver if the receiver, of course, has that 12-volt trigger if you press the play button inside of the Sonos app. So look, Sonos, because of the Sonos port, there's no conversation that Sonos, there's no home theater conversation that Sonos cannot be a part of. If you are selling that bigger traditional home theater system with a receiver, you ask this one simple question. Hey, do you like music? Your customer says, yes, I have a pulse. I like music. Well, hey, I have a way for you to easily control that music in this space. And then what's great is you're going to be able to group it and it's going to live in a system with the rest of your Sonos speakers that are scattered throughout your home, which is awesome. So if you are selling that traditional complex home theater system, that's fine. There's a lot of use cases for that. Sell your customer a Sonos port with that system. All right, we're going to skip the takeaway slide. Hopefully you all took away a few good nuggets with that. We have some time for Q&A. I know we need to leave some time in between sessions, so I want to be respectful of that. How are we looking in the Q&A? Roger, have you been able to get to all the questions? And Sean, have you been able to get to the questions as well?
If you have a question and you're not able to...
You're on mute.
Oh, yeah, we lost you, Roger.
We got pretty much all of them. I mean, there's probably about 100 questions there plus. So if we were to go through all this, it'd take us another hour. But I think Roger and Sean handled 95% of them.
There, and I'll just coordinate for Roger on if things need to be taken offline.
Yeah, absolutely. And just a couple of quick things. The new products, the Ultra and the Sub, we are taking pre-orders now. I know Matthew mentioned 10/29 is the launch date. So get with your sales rep, get with Sean, email us. We'll get you on the list for those items. Also have the winner, John Calaboikis. Sorry if I messed up your name. You're the winner of the Era 100, so appreciate that. Appreciate all the questions. Roger, you getting audio right now? No, he's not. I believe we got them all answered, though. So, I mean, they did a really good job going through it. Thank you so much, Roger and Sean, for going through and answering all the questions. So, yes, we are taking pre-orders. 10/29 is the launch date of the new soundbar and Sub. Anything else we need to do before we close this out?
All good. Thanks again for having me, and thanks for joining us, everyone.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us.
Roger.
Great job, Matthew, as always.